Hi, my name is Erica Garcia-Young, and I'm with Iota Chi Sigma, chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, Incorporated, and I'm going to read to you chapter 19 of Jacqueline Woodson's book, After Tupac and D. Foster. September came up on us quickly. It had gotten cool and cloudy out, and me and Nika sat on the stairs wearing our new jeans and sweaters. Nika had just gotten Tupac's tape and we were listening to it on our Walkman, each of us with one earphone over our ear. It was hard to listen to it and not think about D. Upstairs, Miss Irene was getting the place together for Tosh, who was coming home. She made a whole lot of food and even got some helium balloons from Party City. There was a red tablecloth on the table and red plastic plates and forks because that was Tasha's favorite color. All morning long, Miss Irene had been humming to herself and smiling happier that I'd seen her in a long time. Jay Jones and Nika's dad had gone to meet Tasha at the bus station, but me and Nika had stayed behind helping out. Then when the Nika's sisters started acting the fool, pulling on the balloons and climbing under the table, me and Nika decided it was more peaceful down on the stairs. These beats are tight, Nika said, moving her head to the music. The album had hit double platinum and everybody either had a real copy or a bootleg. Nika's was a bootleg. Jay Jones had made a tape of a tape, so it was a little fuzzy, but still sounded good. Nika took my earphone and put it over her own ear. Then she got up and did a couple of fancy moves. Can't stop this girl, she said, dancing to the music. She had her back to the street, and when I looked over her shoulder, I saw Dee walking towards us. Only she wasn't alone. There was a tall white woman with her. I stared at her with my mouth hanging open, pointing my finger down by my leg, trying to get Nika's attention. Turn around, Nika, I said, trying not to move my lips. I waved and Dee waved. Nika turned around and then saw what I saw. You think it's somebody from the Foster place, Nika said. The woman had curly light colored hair and Dee's same strange green eyes. She was dressed in purple, everything purple, baggy purple pants, too big purple shirt, black Nikes with purple stripe. If I seen her on the street, I would have thought she was just some freak trying to look fly, but she was with Dee, so I didn't know what to think. Dee was smiling, her same old crazy half smile, like she just been gone for a day or a week, not over a month, but I saw her smile and I felt like my whole body was relaxing, like it had been all tensed up all the time she was gone, and now it could just sit itself down. We hugged and then we looked at each other and then we hugged again. The whole time the white lady stood there smiling like she had knew us from the way back when or something. Ma, Dee said, these are my girls. She said our names and the woman's smile got bigger. Hey, y'all, Dee said, this is my mom's. When we'll be spending some time together, and that's why you ain't seen me around here for a while. Me and Nika lifted our hands and said something that sounded like hi. We were too busy being shocked that this white woman was Dee's mama to say anything else. Okay, Dee said slowly, you can put your eyes back in your head now. Cool, finally, nice to meet you both, Dee's mama said. Lordy, I've heard some earfuls about you. She smiled again. Up close, she looked like she'd done some hard living. There were lines around her nose and her mouth, and her skin looked a bit rough. One of her teeth was a bit crooked, and when she smiled real wide, I could see one near the back was missing. Where you been, Nika said, taking off the headphones. We don't even have your phone number. How you gonna be friends with some sisters all this time and disappear without leaving some digits behind? I didn't know I was gonna turn that corner and not be back for a while, Dee said. You know, I'm not like that. She looked up at Nika's window. Miss Irene had tied some red balloons to the window box. Y'all having a party? Nika nodded. Tasha's coming home today. If we'd have known how to reach you, we would have called. Wait a minute, she said. We missed you, Dee. You can't be leaving your girls hanging like that. Dee looked at me and Nika. Then she turned to her mama and said, I'm gonna walk over there and talk to my girls a minute. Dee's mama nodded, then checked her watch. Our bus leaves in 2 hours, Desiree. We still have to pick up your clothes. Desiree, I said, your name is Desiree? Nika looked on like Desiree had grown 2 new heads. That's my birth name, she said. Desiree Johnson. She's the only one calling me that. We walked a little bit away from Desiree's mama. I thought your last name was Foster, I said. Dee shook her head. Nah, it's really Johnson. I just dropped the Johnson and added Foster because I was in foster care so long. We didn't even know your name, I said, more to myself than to Dee. You didn't tell us your mama was white, Nika whispered. I didn't think that mattered, Dee said. What difference would it make? You're gonna like me less or more because I have a white mama? She looked at me, or because my name wasn't my name. We would have known you some, Nika said. That's all. We would have been able to put the D puzzle together a little bit more. Dee smiled. I came on these streets and y'all became my friends. That's the D puzzle. I talked about roaming and y'all listened. I sat down and ate with your mamas, and it felt like I was finally belonging somewhere. Use threes, the puzzles. It's just a 3-piece puzzle. Nika shook her head. You never really told us who you were, girl. We were all this time trying to figure this out, but all you had to do was ask. Nika put her hands on her hips. We did ask. And now the answers are coming, Dee said. She looked over at her mama. Her voice dropped down a bit. And anyway, she said, the D puzzle ain't never gonna be all together. I asked her who my daddy is, and she says, a man who likes to roam. I asked her what it's like when I was a baby, and then she says alcohol erased that memory, but I don't drink no more. The puzzle's always gonna have all these missing pieces, all these holes up in it. Some church ladies moved by us, said hello, and headed on up to Nika's place. Y'all know I ain't coming to say goodbye, Dee said. She was carrying a shoulder bag, and she sat it down on the curb and reached inside. I got something for you. She pulled out a brand new package of clothesline rope and handed it to Nika. The way I figured it, someday somebody else might come down this block and be wanting to be friends with y'all. And if she don't have a rope, at least you will. I felt my eyes starting to get stingy. I wiped them real fast and looked away from Desiree. Y'all let me play with you once. And when I get upstate, I'm sure there's gonna be some sisters looking for somebody to take the other end of the rope. And it's gonna be me all over again. And I'm gonna get on a bus, head down here and show you how they rocking it up there. But I ain't saying goodbye. I ain't never saying goodbye to you. We're 3 the hard way, Nika said softly. She was looking down at the rope in her hand like it was taking her back to the beginning. We're always gonna be 3 the hard way, I said. Nika had the headphones draped over the shoulder. She took them off and handed them to Desiree. The Walkman, it's Tupac, she said. Keep the whole thing. I know how you love his gangsta behind. Desiree didn't say anything for a minute. Then she put the Walkman in her bag and threw her arms around Nika. They stood there holding each other for a long time. When they pulled away, they were both crying. Then Dee hugged me. You're part of me, she whispered, her mouth close to my ear. You're in my heart forever and always, all right? I nodded. If I said one word, I knew I'd start crying and not to be able to stop. Desiree, Dee's mama called. I'm coming, Dee yelled, not turning away from us. She better cool it or else I'll be telling her to step. Be my turn to leave her. Nika smiled. You know you're going with that woman. You want a mama too much to let her get away again. Dee nodded, put her hands in her pockets and looked over at her mama. After a moment, she brushed her hair away from her eyes with her hands squinted in the sun and smiled. Maybe I'd live to be 100. And if I did, I wouldn't forget that smile. Her green eyes, they were her white mama's green eyes, and maybe her mama's green eyes got bright and sad. And when the tears started coming, she didn't wipe them away. These 2 years, she said to me and Nika, they was all part of the big purpose, you know. We ain't never gonna even try to forget each other. And when we're grown and back together again, or when we're all old, sitting in rocking chairs somewhere, we're going to remember everything, every single inch and day and hour and minute and piece of us together now. You think we're going to remember all of it, Dee? I asked. Dee didn't say anything. She just hugged me and Nika again and headed back over to her mama. Her mama put her arm around Dee's shoulder and Dee grabbed her mama's hand. Only then did she turn around and nod. Yeah, girl, she said, everything. Then me and Nika watched them walk down the street. You better call us, Nika yelled. You better write us and stuff. You know I will, Dee yelled back. Three the hard way. Three the hard way, me and Nika said back to her. Then Desiree and her mama turned the corner and walked on out of our lives.